Hi guys, it's 2023 and that means a whole new season of the Boat Princess podcast. I cannot tell you how much joy this podcast brings me, and I hope it brings some joy and knowledge to you guys out there listening. It's just wonderful to interview all the amazing people I interview and then therefore share all that knowledge and information with you all, for those who love boating, for those who want to get into the boating industry, and especially to share that with some women to try and bring them into our male-dominated industry, give them the confidence to join us, because it's not because of the guys, they're not coming in. I just don't think it's on the radar. So that's one of our goals at the Boat Princess podcast, but just one of many. We are also promoting incredible businesses out there, not only run by women, but run by guys too, that are doing amazing things in the boating industry space that we want you all to know about. We're also encouraging as many people into boating as possible, because thanks to Wallace J. Nichols and all his research on Blue Mind, we know how important getting out there on the water is for us mentally. And 2023, having been through so much for all of us mentally for COVID, is we need strategies and implementation of things that counterbalance the stress and the negativity that we've all been through recently. It's been incredibly hard for those that have lost close family and friends and all those sorts of things, but also just hard generally for all of us with the multiplications of changes we've had to make in our businesses, the hardships we've all suffered with lack of staff, of lack of income due to the changes going on throughout the world. It's something we've all gone through, which is, of course, quite unusual. It's very specific to certain countries, such as our friends in the Ukraine, who are suffering so badly at the moment. But it's we need to get out boating as much as we possibly can. We need to see that water and enjoy the outside living of being out on the water and being with our friends and counterbalancing all of that stress that we've been through and some of us are still going through. So I hope that this podcast encourages you to do that. We've got an amazing year coming up in 2023. I cannot tell you how excited I am about this year. I've got a couple of life goals I'll be achieving, spending some time on a super yacht and things like that. So that's really exciting for myself and my family. But in addition to that, I am, for your sakes and mine, interviewing some incredible people in this industry. So just to give you some insight as to just some of those people I have already spoken to that I'll be issuing the podcasts of soon, but some that also are coming in the future in the series this year in 2023. First up, before I go into those people, I need to thank a few people. There has been some amazing support for this podcast, and it is doing extremely well, thousands and thousands of downloads. So a big thank you to Pip of ShirePOD. This podcast simply would not exist without her. Her guidance, her training, everything she's done for me, her amazing production ability and so on and so forth has been absolutely outstanding. She is my number one fan and I am hers. And I just am so grateful that she got me into this, because I enjoy it so much. And I hope that I'm making a difference out there, which is what I really wish to do. Thanks to my sponsors, of course, Quality Marine Clothing and Ross and Whitcroft. Of course, my merchandise is available on the Ross and Whitcroft site. Just search for The Boat Princess on rossandwhitcroft.com.au. They have been amazing supporters right from the start. And we're really proud of our Boat Princess jackets and caps and everything that we all get to traipse around in at boat shows. That's pretty cool, that clothing. We really enjoy that. A big thanks to Kim at Bid Branding, who put that branding together for me as well. She did an amazing job. And then there's Pommery Champagne. They've supplied us with champagne. And they have just been amazing. Boating Syndication Australia were sponsors of, in part of our event that we had out on the water last year. And it's just, I'm surrounded by some incredible people, both in my business and outside by my business, that have created connections for me, have supported me, have just come up to me in an event and saying, "Oh, the podcast is fantastic. We really appreciate what you're doing," or sent me a message in Instagram or on my phone. Those messages make a massive difference to me, and I really, really appreciate them. And reviewing the podcast makes a massive, massive difference to how many people we get out to. So whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on, if you could please go and review the podcast and give me a little insight as to what you think of it. If you don't have time, just give us the 5 stars. That's the only 5 stars we need. But a little comment as well as to perhaps what you'd like who you'd like us to interview, what you'd like to talk about on our podcast, all that sort of thing. We'd love to hear that as well. It's very exciting to get I get little messages in the back of Instagram sometimes saying, I've just got my boat license, or for another woman who's just bought a boat, or, all the amazing messages I get from women and guys too, who are using this knowledge and this information that we're giving you to help them get into our wonderful lifestyle, or perhaps into our industry. It's absolutely the most satisfying thing. Absolutely wonderful. I absolutely love it. So I've had an amazing time in 2022 with some incredible contacts, and in 2023 we are traveling a lot. My husband is currently the president of ICOMIA, which is the International Council of Marine Industry Associations, and that involves international meetings because it is a full international association. We shall be traveling all over the world for those, which is very, very exciting, because there are such amazing people involved in that association, and such an incredible world of knowledge, literally right in the room every time they meet. So that's super, super exciting. So the first part of that is we're heading over to the UK, to Southampton, for some meetings. But the timing of that happened to work out beautifully with Dubai Boat Shows. So I am heading over to Dubai Boat Show this year. I hope to see some of you there. If you are displaying yachts there and would like me to go through and video those yachts, I would love to do that for you. So please let me know. And of course, anyone interested in being on the podcast in Dubai, please contact me through my Instagram at The Boat Princess, or send me a message to info@theboatprincess.com. If you want your boats to dominate those videos, of course, sponsorship applications are always very welcome. And then I am actually meeting with one of my people that I look up to in the industry at that show, and that is Marcella from On Board with Marcella. She is an amazing woman who has educated us on the super yacht industry and continues to do so. She's got some amazing courses, books, so on and so forth. And I've never actually met her. I've only seen her on Instagram and all those sorts of things. And I don't even know if I've pronounced her name right. It could be Marcella. It probably is. Anyway, I am meeting that beautiful girl and interviewing her on this podcast at the boat show at Dubai, which is very exciting. Somebody else I'll be interviewing there, or very close to that time, is Richard Morris. He is from Australian Super Yachts. He has an amazingly successful, for a very long time, brokerage yacht management business, and he is the distributor in Australia for Majesty Yachts. If you went to Sydney Boat Show last year, he had the largest vessel at that show, a beautiful Majesty 100, and his other brokerage, Flag International, also an amazingly successful business he has there. So I'm looking forward to talking to him. He is a good friend, so that'll be a good fun chat because, of course, he's a super yacht captain as well. So he's got some great stories to tell all of us. Just last week, I spoke to Nicole Watts. She is a director at Maritime and Transport here in New South Wales. She is a really interesting interview for all of you to listen to, in that her skill set is not necessarily boating. So she doesn't have a massive background in boating. She has a brilliant skill set in management people, all those sorts of things. She's come from a Qantas background, Westfield background, so completely different to a lot of people in the boating industry. And I think I really wanted to talk to her to illustrate that you don't have to come from a boating family, a boating background to be in our industry. If you have skill sets that the boating industry needs, then we need you. So let's not restrict anyone out there thinking they can't come into our industry just because they haven't had that boating experience in the past. I also spoke to last week one of my dear friends, Paul Maletta from Q7 Marine. He is a broker of very large, beautiful Cantiere delle Marche explorer yachts. They are just divine, still hulls, and true explorers. So that was a fascinating conversation. He's also an importing specialist. So if you see a nice big yacht that's for sale over in Europe, for example, and you're in Australia and you want to bring it here, he will do that for you. So he will go through all the necessary channels and do all the necessary things that need to be done to bring a boat from overseas into Australia. So very useful man to know. So that's Paul from Q7 Marine. He, I have to say, also was one of the first people to really take me seriously as a boat broker when I was selling boats. I don't sell boats now, but in that time when I was doing boat brokerage, he was one of my most supportive fellow brokers out there that wasn't from my own business, and I am truly grateful for him for that. He also takes women seriously when they go and say, "Yes, can I have a $20 million boat, Paul?" Because a lot of brokers, unfortunately, don't. So, well, not a lot of brokers, but some brokers don't. So, Paul is one of those people that's leading the charge, if you like, in supporting women both in the industry and also in buying boats. So that's a really good conversation, and he's got some fantastic tips about, the things you need to order on boats to make them relevant to the Australian lifestyle, and when you're, speccing up the boat, when you're ordering it with a broker. So all those sorts of interesting things we spoke about. When I go over to the UK, I have the privilege of speaking to Chris Gates. Now, Chris Gates is currently the CEO of SeaTag Yachts. Now, you may recall I spoke to his daughter Ellie last year on my podcast when they had really just started SeaTag. She's an amazing woman working with her dad. That's such a relationship in itself that's quite wonderful. So Chris Gates has come from being Princess CEO, so Princess Yachts CEO, to SeaTag Yachts, and we'll be able to talk about his journey and his vision for SeaTag, which I think is a genius business. They refurb older boats to make them look like new ones again, but they're using technicians and so on that have built those boats originally, so they really know how to reset those boats and redesign them to a certain extent internally, sometimes to the client's requirements. So That's going to be a really interesting conversation because he was CEO at Princess Yachts for a long time. So he's going to have some amazing stories, I am sure. We're also going to be talking to SeaTag Yachts design director, and that's Sarah Luck. So that's very, very exciting too, because I love talking to the designers. I don't know if you recall me talking to Andy at Princess Yachts. That was just such a great insight as to how SeaTag Yachts design the whole, where the feeling comes from, and all those sorts of things to make it look like a princess, as opposed to make it look like a Fairliner, as opposed to So it's just it's fascinating talking to the designers, because boats have to deal with so many things. They have to deal with exposure to weather, exposure to travel. There's so many elements that boats have to handle as part of their design, whilst feeling incredibly luxurious or incredibly comfortable, and all those sorts of things. There's so much thought that has to go into designing boats, and in Sarah's case, redesigning boats. So very exciting to talk to her. Next week, I'll be talking to a very exciting startup in the boating industry space, and that's Hullboat. A big thanks to Clemens at Sydney Super Yacht Marina for introducing me to them. He's another man that supports me strongly and introduces me to people. I really appreciate that, Clemens. Thank you. And while I'm doing that, I should also mention Star Wars. Mike Jarvin is a massive, massive supporter of the work we're doing with this podcast, and I really appreciate his support too. And I guess I should mention my husband too. He is, of course, incredibly supportive, and always has been and always will be, of what I do in the boating industry, and incredibly proud, which is a lovely thing to be as a wife, having your husband proud of you. So I think that's he's been absolutely amazing. And to all the guys I work with at Empire Marinas, all of you are just amazingly supportive and incredible team members, and I really appreciate you being there in our business, and the girls too. We've got some awesome girls working in our business as well at Empire Marina Bobbin Head, Empire Marina Lake Macquarie, and of course Waterside Bistro at Empire Marina Bobbin Head too. Very grateful for every team member we have and everything they do. They are all an intrinsic part of what is Empire Marinas, and one that we're very, very proud of. We're extremely proud of our businesses. And Andrew, our business partner, of course, is another major, major supporter of what I do. And it's, as I always say, I think it's terribly destructive for us as women to go down the man-hating path, and it almost takes us backwards sometimes, if I can say that. Men, we need men around to support us and push us and help us to get where we want to get to. And all of the men in my life, right from my dad to my husband to my sons, everybody to around our businesses and so on and so forth, those I've worked with in the past, those I work with now, they all make a difference. And we need that support and that encouragement from those guys, and for them to show that occurring, so that the other guys that aren't doing it potentially realise and recognise what they need to do. So a big thanks to every guy out there who's been supporting what we're doing. Yeah, so back to the startup space, Hullbot. They are an incredible startup that are creating a robot. So we'll hear all about that on my interview with them. But it's exciting to have a tech-based startup in the boating industry. Yay! Also next week, I'll be talking to Monica. She is currently the president of Wista, Australia, which is the Women's International Shipping and Trading Association. So no small task there. Hey, Monica. She's also a senior manager at Maritime. So she is an incredible woman. She's looking after the assets for Transport New South Wales. So just a massive role there, but also supporting women in the association presidency as well. So I'm really looking for, she's a firecracker. So that's going to be a really interesting conversation. And what else are we doing? Okay, so we're traveling to San Remo in May for an ICOMIA meeting. And I will no doubt catch up with some of my amazing ICOMIA friends then and hopefully get them on a microphone too. If you are watching any of our Instagram and you want to see certain things on Instagram, I promise you there will be more YouTube videos this year to give you more in-depth reviews into vessels and so on and so forth. I like to think I review a vessel very differently to the standard procedure because I view it from not only a boat owner but also a marina owner but also a woman. So I'm bringing to it a whole bunch of different features and things to look for when you're choosing your boat. I don't favour, for example, like if there's only drawer fridges in a big yacht, I'm not happy because I need something for my seafood platter. Does that make sense? So there's different ways I look at boats. I look at them from the maintenance perspective as well. What's the engine access like? Because I'm a marina owner, I need to know that our technicians and our mechanics that are tenants at our marinas can get easy access to those engines. And so I look at boats in a completely different way. And I talk about different elements. I don't necessarily focus on the fuel economy, for example. I'm more likely to focus on whether I can see out of the window when I sit down on the sofa. So, there's very important parts to boating that I like to explore and to share with my audience rather than just the standard, I guess, reading out the brochure. I am well beyond the brochure. And all of my experience in selling boats and owning boats and being in the marinas gives me that different perspective and that world of knowledge to share with you. So if you are wanting your boats to be dominant in my Instagram and YouTube channels, can I suggest that you get in touch with me so that we can make sure that I have some dedicated time to your brand at whichever show I'm going to be at. I'm certainly anticipating being at Cannes and at Monaco this year, as well as Dubai, of course, and Southampton, and, of course, Sanctuary Cove and Sydney. So with all of that scope of different vessels available in different boats, we have an amazing opportunity to share an incredible amount of yachts with you and all of the features on them. So if you'd like to get involved, get in touch. You can contact me at info@theboatprincess.com or on the back a DM into my, you got to slide, haven't you? Slide into my DM on Instagram at The Boat Princess. And that will be great to talk to you about doing that. Of course, close to the end of the year in October, I will be at the World Marinas Conference, which is in Portugal this year, which is super exciting because I've never been to Portugal. Who hasn't been to Portugal? Probably loads of people, but I haven't been to Portugal. So I'm very excited about going there for the World Marinas Conference. There are so many great people that go to the World Marinas Conference that I know, and some more that I would love to get to know. So that will be an extremely exciting event in October. I think the early bird for that finishes very soon. So, and it's €100 more afterwards. So pop in and book that as soon as you possibly can, my lovelies. And yeah, so I'm super, super excited for 2023. I think it's going to be an absolutely amazing year for the boating industry. We have had some amazing times with COVID. I think it's revealed to the world that boating is an incredible pastime. We all know it's still very difficult to travel and so expensive. So certainly from Australia, I don't know what you guys are experiencing from other countries, but it's difficult, it's expensive, and boating is an escape that can take you completely away from your stresses and your environment that you're in, into a completely different world. So please continue to enjoy boating, and we have shown the world, I guess, in this time that boating is an incredible pastime that is so good for you, and such a lovely thing to do, and it brings people. Now that we're allowed to all be together, boating brings people together. And I don't know if you notice, but people are more present on a boat. You know, when you go out to coffee or lunch sometimes, or some people are still focused on their phones and so on and so forth. Less so on a boat, I find. They're actively involved in fishing or swimming or playing on the lily pad or what else, whatever it is on a boat, or just sitting and having some cheese and wine together, or whatever it might be. And it's skiing. There's so many ways you can enjoy boating, kayaking, all those different elements. And they're all not in front of a screen. So how good is that for us, right? It's that counterbalance of that stressful, attached to screen world that we all live in now. And I really think that we need to maintain as many people in boating as possible and bring as many people into boating as possible. And there's so many ways to do it now. I mean, you can buy a kayak, or you can buy a trailer boat, or you can join a boat club, or you can buy a boat share, or you can buy a boat, or you can buy a boat with some mates. There's, you don't have to own a whole big boat. There's so many different ways of getting into it and enjoying the boating lifestyle. You can hire a boat. You can charter a boat. The options are endless. So there is literally something for every single person's budget. You can borrow a boat from a mate. There's the opportunities are endless, and I don't want you guys to miss out on them. So please get out on a boat soon, and enjoy yourselves. Take family, take friends, have some amazing time together, and be present and enjoy that blue mind out there. So I hope I will have your ears for 2023. Please let other people know about the podcast. Please review it for us. That makes a massive difference to how it is directed out to the world. Please follow me on Instagram at The Boat Princess. Please sign up for my newsletter on my site, theboatprincess.com. And if you see me around at a boat show, please come and say hello, because I would love to meet you and know you. And it's very exciting. Oh, another thing I'm going to do in 2023, I hope, cross fingers, guys, I'm going to create a marketplace on my site, which is all about directing you to the people I trust in their space. So say, for example, a watermaker company that I really believe in, I'll direct them to you. So I'll have them on my site. They will have a special code that you can use to obtain a discount on their site, or a special privilege on their site, or whatever it is that I've spoken to that company about. That will be on the marketplace on my site. So I suggest you sign up to my newsletter at theboatprincess.com to make sure you do not miss out on the launch of that marketplace. All right, guys, it's been good chatting with you. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. You take care. Have an amazing 2023, and hopefully I'll see you on the water soon.